Factoring trinomials, x squared plus bx plus c. These are some of my favorites because you start them in Algebra 1 and you do them all the way through calculus. You just get much faster with them. So there's basically three types. Let's say I had x squared plus 6x plus 8. In other words, two plus signs or two addition signs. What you're doing is trying to do like a reverse 4. Sugar and Cocoa playing in the background. So, in other words, you know with an x squared you had an x and x because that was your first terms. But you're working to try to get your outer and your inner terms to add up to 6. Because the good thing is with two pluses, it's always two pluses. Now, if you have a minus plus, we'll get to in a minute, it's two minuses. But either way, on these two scenarios, you're always going to add. So, in your last terms, what are some things that multiply to give you 8? Well, no, of course, you've got 8 and 1. But probably the first thing that jumped into your head was 4 and 2. Well, notice how 4 and 2 multiply to give you 8 and add to give you 6. So, 4 and 2. Now, it doesn't matter. You could have said x plus 2 and x plus 4. The order of the parentheses doesn't matter. It's just important what's inside. Let's do another one. X squared plus 12x plus, let's see what we want, 32. So this one, x squared and two pluses. So x is out front, two pluses. And then what multiplies to give you 32 and adds to give you 12? Well, you know, you've got 32 and 1, 16 and 2, but usually the numbers closer together, the smaller ones, those are usually what jump out at you. And in this case, 4 and 8. Because 4 and 8 multiply to give you 32, but remember, add to give you 12. 4, 8. Now, let's say the other scenario I was talking about, negative plus. Let's say I have x squared minus 6x. What do we want? Maybe plus, I will do 8 again. So in this case, notice how still x squared, so x and x. This time we have a minus and a plus. So two minuses. And same thing, multiply to get 8, add to give you 6, 4 and 2. So that's the first two scenarios. If you have plus plus, it's two pluses in the parentheses, minus plus, two minuses, and you're going to add. So notice how if the second sign is a plus, you're always going to add. Well, I know you're like, what about the other scenarios you were talking about? Well, let's say I have a plus minus and a minus minus. In other words, if the second sign is a minus, you're always going to subtract, and you're going to have one plus and one minus. So these are a little bit more difficult, but they're doable. It's kind of like a puzzle. So if I gave you x squared plus 2x minus, what do we want? Maybe 35. Well, notice how this one, we still have x and x, but this time we have a plus and a minus. So we want a plus and a minus, or minus and plus, the order doesn't matter. But what multiplies to give you 35, but subtracts to give you 2? And it's like, oh, wait, 5 and 7, 5 and 7. Now remember, these are the ones that are tricky. You got to be careful of the signs. That's usually what messes people up on these. So to get a positive 2, notice how you would need a positive 7 and a negative 5. Because remember, you can always FOIL and check these. you would get negative 5x plus 7x, positive 2x, of course, then negative 35. All right, what about this one? X squared minus x minus 12. Same thing, x and x, minus minus, so plus and a minus. Now what multiplies to give you 12, but subtracts to give you an understood 1? Well, that would be positive 3, negative 4. And so it just comes with practice. Some students love these from the get-go and run with it. Some it takes a while. But it really is just repetition over and over. Let's say x squared minus 3x plus 2. So you have to ask yourself, what are the signs going to be? You know it's x and x. Minus plus. So remember, if the second sign is plus, you're always going to add. And minus and plus, so 2 minuses, but you're still adding. So what multiplies to give you 2 adds to give you 3. Let's say x squared minus 3x, or we'll say plus 3x minus 10. Same, x and x. Plus and minus, so you know ends in minus, so 1 plus 1 minus, doesn't matter the order. But what multiplies to give you 10 subtracts to give you 3. 5 and 2. Now you want the 3 to be positive, so if you're going to subtract them in a sense, it is going to be positive 5, negative 2. And just so you don't think I'm making this stuff up, x squared minus 2x plus 5x minus 10. So sure enough, if you FOIL it, you get what you started with. So that's it for factoring with just ax squared, or I'm sorry, x squared plus bx plus c. The last lesson, or next to last lesson in the series, is factoring ax squared plus bx plus c. So stay tuned for that one.